Here is some time-lapse footage of the Crown's hybrid system in action so you can watch how it generates and uses its electricity over time, and how that works as a constant cycle of recharging and discharging the battery, which you'll notice never gets full and never gets empty and always just kind of stays somewhere in the middle. I'll be explaining the Toyota Crown's hybrid system in detail using more footage like this later in the video, but first, let's answer a popular question. How fuel efficient is the Toyota Crown, and how does it stack up against its competition? The standard hybrid engine makes 236 horsepower and 163 pounds of torque, and the up-level turbocharged hybrid engine, called Hybrid Max, which is standard on the Platinum trim grade, makes it 340 horsepower and 400 pounds of torque. All Toyota Crowns are hybrids with standard all-wheel drive, and my tester has the base-level engine. Based on fuel economy ratings, and assuming that gas costs $1.50 a liter, then driving my tester for 100 kilometers will cost me $8.55 on average. The Crown's much more powerful Hybrid Max engine uses $11.70 worth of gas to drive that same 100 clicks. That's 37% more fuel in exchange for 44% more horsepower and 145% more torque. So in dollars and cents, the annual fuel bill of a Crown like my tester is about $2,137 per year, and a Hybrid Max powered model would come in around $2,925. That is a $788 per year premium, or about $66 per month to feed the bigger engine, assuming you drive 25,000 kilometers per year. If you don't mind spending the big bucks at the pumps, the Nissan Maxima and all-wheel drive equipped Dodge Charger with V6 are some of the thirstier big comfortable sedans, with the Maxima using about $3,700 per year and the all-wheel drive equipped Charger using $4,100 by the same math annually. So the Crown's Hybrid Max engine uses about 29% less fuel than the Dodge Charger's V6, despite making 52% more torque. If you're wondering, running the Charger's all-wheel drive system uses about $22 more fuel per month than a rear drive unit. And on the topic of big comfortable sedans, running a Volvo S90 B6 will use about $450 more fuel annually, or about $40 a month versus the Crown with Hybrid Max power. That's the S60 drinking about 16% more gas, but returning 15% less horsepower and 29% less torque. In fact, the Crown with Hybrid Max power even makes more torque than the Dodge Charger's 5.7-liter Hemi V8, but uses about $1,700 less fuel annually to do it. Compared to the new Honda Accord Hybrid Sport Touring, the Crown's standard engine uses slightly more fuel and makes slightly more power. They're pretty closely matched. And versus the Accord Hybrid Sport Touring, the Crown's up-level Hybrid Max engine will use 47% more gas, but turn in 60% more horsepower and 209% more torque. The Accord Hybrid is perhaps the Crown's most direct competitor, others including the Toyota Camry Hybrid and Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Amongst these, the Crown is the only all-wheel drive equipped model, and the only one available with more than one engine option. So considering the more comparable base Crown engine with its 236 horsepower versus these competitors, the combined fuel economy of 5 liters per 100 kilometers in the Crown is a dead even tie with the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, which has 44 less horsepower and 2 less driven wheels. The front-drive Camry Hybrid with 208 horsepower has a 4.9-liter per 100-kilometer combined fuel economy rating, which is just a tick better than the more powerful all-wheel drive-equipped Crown. The Accord Hybrid uses the most gas in this group at 5.3 liters per 100 clicks, but the differences in fuel economy are marginal, with less than $300 separating the annual fuel bills of each of these cars from one another. So long story short, the Crown is not only the most powerful car amongst these direct competitors, it's also one of the most fuel efficient despite having all-wheel drive. So the hybrids in this comparison are giving you the very best bang for your fuel buck. So how does the Toyota Crown's hybrid system work? Well, I've prepared this time-lapse footage to help show you. So under the hood we have a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder gasoline engine connected to an automatic transmission with integrated electric motor generator. That integration of two sources of power is what makes this literally a hybrid engine. So far we've described the equipment that powers the front wheels of the Toyota Crown. There is an additional electric motor built into the rear axle, and it powers the rear wheels as needed. And that's how hybrid all-wheel drive works in this car. There is no need for a rear drive shaft, gearing, a power takeoff coupler, or any conventional all-wheel drive hardware. So to be clear, there is no physical connection to the rear wheels of the driveline. They're 100% battery driven. Note that although this is the way hybrid all-wheel drive works in the Toyota Crown, it is not necessarily the way hybrid all-wheel drive works in every other hybrid. Alright, so a couple of other things to show you in here too. Fully digital instrument cluster here. Drive mode selector behind it here, 3 different modes that we can toggle with this switch, easily referenced up here on the screen as well. Sport, normal, and eco. Traction control off if we need it. EV mode, which allows you to drive at low speed for short distances just using battery power. And the auto hold button here, which is one of my favorite features because when you turn that on, it's referenced up in the instrument cluster, and once the vehicle stops, you can take your foot off of the brake pedal and the car won't go anywhere until you touch the accelerator again. USB ports here, wireless charging slot for your phone there. Handy center console lid here too, check this out. We can open this either way. So that's pretty handy. And let me get you up close to the central infotainment screen here for a better look at the graphics. This is the factory interface here. Nice sharp graphics, that screen doing a pretty good job of mitigating the glare. Easy to see in all conditions. Let me punch right in there so you can see just how sharp this is. By the way, if you want a great burger, Gonga's Grill, that's where you want to go. What is the same as every other hybrid is that the Crown's battery is recharged automatically as you drive around. This is not a plug-in hybrid, so there is no plug and no need to make any decisions or monitor anything. The hybrid system here is fully automatic. You just gas up and drive like you're used to. And although I've called up the infographic display screens to help us monitor what the hybrid system is doing, that's completely optional, and the system never requires any of your attention or bandwidth at any time. But one of the best things about hybrid engines is that they tend to be the most fuel efficient in the sort of stop-and-go driving where non-hybrid engines are the thirstiest. So by generating and using its own electricity to lighten the load on the gas engine, hybrids like the Toyota Crown tend to suffer almost none of the fuel economy penalty, typical of stop-and-go driving. So to put that another way, whether you're cruising at 110 kilometers an hour or slowly inching through commuter traffic, your fuel economy is actually going to be about the same. By the way, this is the 4th generation Toyota hybrid system, now featuring 2 compact electric motors, and a new gas engine with advanced valve timing technology that further maximizes both fuel efficiency and output across a wide range of situations. Selectable drive modes allow drivers to fine-tune the operation of the hybrid and other vehicle systems to their exact tastes, and you can even press the EV mode button to switch the Crown to all-electric driving for very short, low-speed trips.